you got exposed to a very large part of your life, to constant stress and drama, emotional narcissistic abuse, or perhaps you don't really remember exactly what happened, or more like what didn't happen. So perhaps you have experienced things like emotional neglect, and then you wonder what it is that triggers you, what can still trigger you, because you go through life in your adulthood feeling numb, perhaps. Like you kind of have a decent career, things are going okay for you, but still you feel like lots of things are missing. And you look to the world around you and you see people that seems to be so excited about what society expects from us. And you feel like you're not longer part of that anymore. You do not feel connected or engaged to that belief system anymore. And then you wonder, so what is it that can excite you, that can ignite your soul once again? That joyfulness, that playfulness. Like once you were a child, you remember, like, yes, this is how I lost grip on time. It made me feel present, whole. So what is this number one thing then that perhaps could trigger if all the other things from society cannot longer seems to ignite you? I would say it's peace. It's peace that we as intuitives, empaths, conscious individuals looking for, let's say, self-acquisition. We're looking for ways to nurture our soul. We want to reconnect with our essence, with our true authentic self. That the number one thing that does trigger us is peace. Now, how does peace look like? And when do you have it? When do we have it? Obviously, it's not something that is really outside of us, because, well, yeah, I mean, taking a long walk in a forest, in a nearby park, into nature, can definitely help with that. And if you do it long enough, and if you do it very often enough, yes, that can be a very, very important element in this journey of developing more inner peace. But the thing is, what I've discovered over the last several years is once I step out of this beautiful forest, my mind definitely slowed down in my hyperactivity, and my mind and my critical inner voice that really tends to beat the shit out of me. And this is an important thing, so write this one down. This hyperactive critical voice that we have going on, that is constantly beating us up for no reason. We're beating ourselves up in such a way we will never do it to someone else, yet we are doing it to ourselves. But once I step out of the forest, I go back to my normal reality. Let's say it in that way. The thinking goes on. And in order to shut down that thinking, I will need to seek out for distractions in order to step away from that. Because yes, I have this voice that tells me that I should do things that everybody else is doing, and should go after the fame, the success, the recognition, material status, and all of that surface level desires that we should have. But deep down we feel like, okay, so once we have that, like right now, what difference does it make if we have not figured out how to nurture that part in us that hasn't really nurtured for a very long time? It's a little bit the story of, you can take out a soldier out of a war zone, but how do you take the war zone out of a soldier? Now that might be a very exaggerated example, but think about it. If you grow up, let's say, in a household where there was like things like violence, aggression, emotional abuse, physical abuse, and basically what you had to do, you had to develop an armor in order to protect yourself from all that sorrow, from all that misery. Now this is one pretty big example, you know. This is like real attacks against you. But what if none of that actually happened, but things didn't happen that actually should have happened? Like a parent that had to be there for you, nurture your emotions as a child, but it never happened. So also for that reason you developed some kind of armor in order to protect yourself from that pain of missing out on something. And we have been carrying along this armor for most of our life. Because that's the reason why we have this unrest inside of us. We have all this emotional turbulence. We are getting triggered by everything that's currently happening in our outside world, and we have our opinions and reactions to it. We do not really respond in such a way of learning to step above it and take it for what it is and take a step back and really kind of like take control or influence our own little universe that exists inside of us. Because that's the only corner of the universe that we actually can influence. So when do you have peace? How does peace even look like? Yes, I strongly believe that taking time out for yourself, for seeking out for different kind of spiritual self-care practices, going out in the woods and doing this on a very, very regular basis definitely help to, let's say, get again in touch with our own intuition, with our higher self, with our own emotions. It's a beautiful way for becoming mindful again, is to ground ourselves within the present moment and really reflect on what's going on inside of us, and it can definitely help us to develop more in the peace, and it's definitely something we should be doing. Self-care and self-soothing practices and exercises should therefore be actually our number one focus in life in order to develop our internal foundation. Because like I said before, we can go after the so-called surface level desires, but if the fundamental emotional stability ain't there, then it does not matter at all. Because at the end, as human beings, in our human nature, we want to seek out for ways on how we can share our glass of water with the world, you know. So it is really a whole journey of learning to cleanse and purify your glass of water. Fill up your cup with pure light, love, consciousness, so that can flow over to the world. Seeking out for that kind of purpose can give you a much greater sense of peace, because you feel you are working on something that does not feel like you are putting these restrictions on yourself of this high level of expectations and conditions, because you said like, if you do this then you will go and get there, because that's a whole society condition we are living in that keeps us stuck in wage slavery, and therefore we suffer, we sacrifice, because we disconnect from our true nature, from our true authentic self. So once you seek out things that fills up your glass with joy, purpose, alignment, passion, fulfillment, satisfaction. You are reuniting with your true, authentic self. This level of authenticity is what the world really needs much more of. It is this whole journey of not beating up your critical voice, but it's definitely a journey of learning to recognize that we have this critical voice that speaks quite negative to ourselves, that is beating ourselves up for no reason whatsoever, because we feel that we are not good enough, we are unworthy, we have been neglected, we feel like people don't see us in the way we actually want to see ourselves. We feel like alone, isolated. So the whole purpose is to really find out, like, what is it that unites you with the I am aspects of our essence. Once you have that, once you have remembered that, not achieved it, once you have remembered that, and once you can fully experience it, integrate it, you are the person you always were and you were always meant to be. Jean-Paul here, signing off for now. Hopefully you have a lovely day. I'm enjoying this early winter morning. I'm here locally, southwest London, Richmond Park. It's convenient to go into on a weekday, but it's a good place to get started to continue making this type of videos, because I feel like I need it for myself, but I also feel like this is exactly what we need right now. Away from all the noise, from the distractions that is going on in the world, and reconnect with our inner self. If more of us we start to do it, we can create peace again in this world, by creating peace within ourselves first. Let the world for what it is, and only influence our own internal universe. See you in the next one. Take care for now.